Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to be doing the 49ers. This has been requested by a couple of my friends. They're a good team, the 49ers. They won the NFC Championship. They played good in the Super Bowl. I feel like if they had more clock management, they would have won. But now, getting into this team, they have pretty good stats everywhere, running and passing, even though they didn't pass that much. When they did good. So we got, for the 49ers, total first downs, they had 336. Their opponents had 285. That's a big number when you're having that many more first downs than your opponent in a game or like during the season. But when you can like control the ball the whole time, running and passing, like the 49ers did this whole season, then I believe that they can go farther this season, maybe probably win a Super Bowl. With rushing, they had 110. Their opponents had 105, which they had a couple great running backs last year, and now they only have like one or two of them because one of them went to the Dolphins. And passing, they have 195. Their opponents have 150. That's probably because they have George Kittle. They had great players. They had Emmanuel Sanders. They had some great players on their offense. And then by penalty, they had 31, and their opponents had 30. That's a big thing in the game, and you can get first downs by penalty, so that you can like shorten down the drive. It'll be easier for your offense. And then for third down conversion, they had 90 out of 200, and their opponents had 64 out of 192. And then for fourth down conversion, they had 7 out of 12, and their opponents had 8 out of 25. For total offensive yards, they had 6,097, and their opponents had 4,509. That's they had way more yards than their opponent by like almost by about 1,500. And with plays, they had 1,012. Their opponents had 964. Average yards, they had 6 yards per play, and their opponents only had 4.7. When you have more average yards per play than your opponent, you should be scheduled to win more games, because then you only need like 1 or 2 plays to really even get some good spot to take a deep shot downfield. Because when it's like 2nd and 1, they'll think, oh, you're gonna run it again, but you can easily run a play action pass that can go over the top of the defense. And now with rushing, they had 2,305. Their opponents had 1,802. They had 485 rushing plays, and their opponents had 401. For average plays, they had 4.7, and their opponents had 4.5. For total passing, they had 3,792. Their opponents had 2,707. With completions of 331 to their opponents of 318. And attempts for the 49ers were 478, and their opponents was 519. They had great success passing the ball this year because they had George Kittle. They have great passing receivers. They have great receivers at wideouts. And then for interceptions, they had 13, and their opponents had 12. For average yards per play, they had 8.4. And their opponents had 5.9. If you can average 8 yards per play in passing, that's gonna really open up your running game, because they're gonna be thinking that you're gonna be wanting to run the ball a lot. And then for sacks, they had 48, and their opponents had 36. That's probably because they had Nick Bosa, DeForest Buckner, all those great pass rushers that they had on that side of the ball, and some great linebackers in Fred Warner and Quan Alexander. And for field goals, they made 30 out of 39, and their opponents made 17 out of 20. And for total touchdowns, they had 56. Their opponents had 37. And for total rushing, they had 23, and their opponents had 11. For passing, they had 28. Their opponents had 23. For returns, they had 0. Their opponents had 0. For defensive, they had 5, and their opponents had 3. For turnover ratio, they had +4. And for time of possession, they had about 30 minutes of time of possession, which is a good thing in a game when you can have the ball for about half the game. And now getting into their schedule, we can see that they are playing the Cardinals week 1. And then they're going to be winning that game just because the Cardinals are not that well balanced of a team on defense yet. But they have a good offense with Larry Fitzgerald, DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray, and all those great players that they have now. With they're building a good O-line, and then they play the Jets week 2. They're gonna win that game also. So because the Jets don't have an offense or a defense, because they don't have any really pass catchers, or all they have is Le'Veon Bell for next year. So they're gonna win that game. And then week 3, they play the Giants. I think they'll win that game too, just because the Giants only have really Saquon and Evan Ingram, and maybe Sterling Shepard can play good. Sterling Shepard, he's a good player. And then week 4, they play the Eagles. I feel like they can beat the Eagles too, just because the Eagles, they never really play good. In the beginning of the year, they usually play good in the bottom half of the year. But, yeah, I think they can easily overpower them on offense and defense, just because the 49ers have George Kittle. They have Jimmy Garoppolo able to be passing the ball more. They're learning to, pass the ball more than just to George Kittle. And then week 5, they play the Dolphins. They're going to be winning that game just because the Dolphins are still in a rebuilding mode. And they don't have, and even though they have a good defense right now, I still feel like they won't win that many games. But next week they play the Rams, and I feel like they could either win or lose that game, because with this division that the 49ers are in, these games can go either way anytime, just because you never know with this league with Kyler Murray now and DeAndre Hopkins, and now the Rams. The Rams stole a game from the Seahawks last year, and I feel like they can do it from the 49ers. So that could be a win or loss game. You never know. Next week, they play the Patriots. They will beat the Patriots just because the 49ers are a little bit more matched than the Patriots are on offense and defense. I feel like if the Patriots had more of a linebacker core or a pass rusher, we could be playing better this year. But the next week we are playing the Seattle Seahawks. We are going to be losing. They are going to be losing that game, just because the Seahawks, they beat them one time during the year last year, which was a close division. Just because it's really a 2-team race in that division, I think, between the 49ers and Seahawks. With them adding Jamal Adams, it's really going to help their team become better during the year. And then the next week they play the Packers. They're going to be winning that game, because when they played in the championship game, they really didn't do that much, in my opinion. They were really able to run the ball as much as they wanted on them and pass the ball, and then their defense played great. The next week they play the Saints. I think they will lose that game, just because the Saints are a really balanced team everywhere. They have Michael Thomas, they have Alvin Kamara, they have some great running backs, they have great pass catchers, they have a good tight end in Jared Cook. They have a good defense too, and I believe that they can win that game. And then the next week they play the Rams. They're going to be winning that game. Like I said, that game can go either way, but I think they will win this game. And then the next week they play the Bills. I feel like they will beat the Bills just because Josh Allen does not have the best accuracy. He has a good offense now, but I just don't think that he can carry a team to a Super Bowl, just because he's too young. He can't make those right decisions yet. Next week they play the Washington football team. They're going to be winning that game just because Washington is still in rebuilding mode. You never know, but yeah, they don't really have that many offensive linemen. All they have is Terry McLaurin and Adrian Peterson with their receiving core. The next week they play the Cowboys. I think they can lose that game just because the Cowboys have like one of the best offenses in the league. Adding CeeDee Lamb, they have Amari Cooper, they have all these pass catchers, they have Ezekiel Elliott, and now it's all on Dak Prescott to make that team good. Just because they also have a good defense that can back them up. They're going to be winning these next two games against the Cardinals and Seahawks. Like I said, the Cardinals, they can beat them because they outmatch them in every place. And then they will beat the Seahawks the last week of the season to probably take the division and make another Super Bowl run with this new team that they're going to be having. They added Javal Kinlaw, I think his name was, at defensive tackle. He's going to be really good, and I think they'll either go 13-3 or 12-4 for their 2020 season. If you guys think otherwise, like you think they'll either win more games or lose more games, say it in the comments. And if you want me to do your team next, just like the video, comment, and subscribe for more videos so that I can keep doing them. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.